all together.
7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I do.
That just blows my mind.
What?
They got 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. They all have a different mother.
Oh, okay.
All together, your grandchildren have 7 kids. Or excuse me, all together, your children have 7 kids.
No, my grandsons.
Oh, your grandsons. All together, your grandsons have 7 kids.
Yeah. The oldest one has 2. The next one has 2. And the third one has 3.
But they're all by different.
But
every one of the children are by different mothers.
Right.
And why? Not to get too personal into their life, but like just from a conceptual perspective, why do you think things like that happen in the black families? Like why when you guys hear about, you look on TV and you see the news or you see this is happening to black people or that's happening to black people, what do you guys see as the cause overall for us being this way?
I don't want to use the word, but they're hoes. I'm telling you, my grandsons.
I mean, people don't just grow up and say, hey, I want to be a prostitute, or I want to be this, or I want to be a bank robber, or I want to sell. I'm sure Uncle Bo didn't grow up saying, I want to one day, boost liquor, So when you guys think about overall in the context of the world we live in and whatnot, like, what do you think causes these things?
I don't know, because my son, I told him, whatever you do, I don't want you to throw my grandkids up down the street. And he didn't. He's been a faithful husband. But boy, his wife. Oh boy. God. Yeah. So I don't know why those boys do what they did.
And not even necessarily them in particular. I just, when I hear on the news that this happened to this person or that happened to that person, or I think about my own family, and how we all came about. We're not. I have 11 brothers and sisters.
Whoa.
Right. So.
No.
Yeah, I come from a big family. So I have 5 older brothers, and I have 1 older sister, and 4 younger sisters. Wait, that's 10. Yeah, that's 10.
11.
That's so it's so yeah, so 11 with me. Excuse me. Lose count sometimes. So many of us, but we're not all from the same mother and father. So my mom and dad were married before they got married to each other. So when I think about, how we came about and how we came together, and then some of us were adopted, So, but, my mom and dad, my father passed away like 2.5 years ago. But when I think about what brought us all together and how we have all come together, and then some of the things that we go through in life as a family, and some of the struggles that we have, whether it be related to the finances or it be related to how we deal with problems, right? I wonder myself, like, how do we as a people get into this position? And I know, slavery has its effects and things like that and so forth. But I just think about that a lot. Like, we don't have our own language. We speak English because, well, slavery or as a result and so forth. But that's not always who we were as a people. Our customs and cultures. One thing I think about, you guys talked about prison and so forth earlier. One thing I think about is, in Africa, they didn't have these walls and prisons. Like, so what did they do with people who committed crimes? Right? In America, we're the largest, we're the number 1 country to incarcerate people. We incarcerate over 2 million people. That's like a nation. That's a small country, right? So, in other countries and cultures, they don't do that. So, when I think about, like, how we as men make bad decisions to, maybe have multiple baby mamas or whatever the case may be. How do we get there? So that's
Ghana. I have a friend. His wife is from Ghana, and I saw this thing on PBS.
And can we turn on another light? Is that possible?
Push that button right there. Right, we were headed the right way. See a little button on that little top of that little table. Right there against the wall.
Right here?
Yeah.
This button?
Oh God, I didn't even see it.
Okay. There we go.
But if you committed a crime, you would have to give these. They're supposed to be. I don't know what they're supposed to be. These men. There you go. You'd have to give them one of your daughters. If you didn't have any daughter, they would take one of your cousins. They wouldn't do a thing to you.
JJ.
That's in Ghana, and that's what's going on now.
Do you call him JJ? JJ?
JJ.
And these women, they don't ever work their way out of it. They keep them for life.
Wow.
Now, what do you make of that?
Yummy.
Well, that sounds to me like
slavery.
But one of the things that, like with Africa, Africa, well, number one, wasn't always called Africa, right? So that name Africa was given to the continent of Africa. And when you think about
what was it called?
It was known as, in some parts of Africa, what's now known as Africa, it was known as Ethiopia, it was known as Kush, it was known as a number of different things, right? But it wasn't always known to be Africa. And people speculate today that Africa came from a Roman emperor who wanted to make a name for himself, who conquered part of northern Africa. His name was Africanus. And that's how some people think Africa got its name, was because he came and he conquered part of Africa and named the continent Africa, right? And another thing too, Ghana wasn't always Ghana. Kenya wasn't always Kenya. See, and this is my understanding, but Africa was colonized. Europeans got together as a group and they said, let's go and break up Africa amongst us. They didn't consult with any of the Africans, and they went in and they colonialized parts of Africa, and they segmented Africa. So they said, these are now these territories, and we're going to call it Kenya. These are now these territories, and this is going to be Ghana. And so Africa was once a time much like North America, where people shared the land, right? There's territories, right? Our people are here for now, but this land doesn't necessarily belong to us. This is where we are. And so all the territories and the countries that we now have come to know weren't always so. In fact, before there was no country. It was just all of Africa, and there were territories and regions. So when you ask me, well, what I make of that and why Ghana is the way it is today, and I don't know if you know this, but every country in Africa, there are over 50 countries. Every country in Africa had been colonialized by Europeans except for one, and that was Ethiopia. So that means that foreigners came into Africa, and like they did in Australia, like they did in North America.
It's not for babies. You know, my heart. No, she don't want to get something.
No, right? She'd be like those pigs.
My house is not child.
Right, not childproof. Yeah. So, those countries in Africa, they start to get other cultures that weren't necessarily theirs, right? Because when you're colonialized, that means somebody else comes in and they're a dominating force in your neighborhood, they're a dominating force in your country, they're making up rules and laws that you now have to follow. So I think a large part of why Ghana is the way it is, why Africa as a whole is the way it is because of that colonialization. For instance, South Africa was under apartheid for a long time, right? And it was just 20 years, or roughly a little over 20 years ago, that apartheid ended, right? And then I think it was 1994, I believe, was when apartheid ended in Africa. And I mean, a lot of things that you guys talked about where somebody said, oh, you did this and you're going to put you in jail. I mean, Nelson Mandela's in jail for 27 years for just wanting for his people to be free, you know? So I think that's a lot of what happened and why things like are happening in Ghana. You know, we've adopted somebody else's way of thinking and life and so forth.
Not that. That's those. I'm trying to say what did he say? These guys were. They were supposed to be like, I don't know, prophets or something.
Prophets.
Yeah, they're supposed to be. And I said they're pedophiles because they have babies by those women.
Who?
Remember I told you that if you committed a crime,
Right, they would come and take.
Yeah, a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they are there for life.
Mm-hmm.
And they work them in fields, and some of them commit suicide because there's no way out.
So when you hear about black people killing each other in gangs and things of that nature today, how do you explain why so many black men kill so many other black men? Not that white people don't do this, right? Because we know the white people do. Every group, ethnic and culturally, commit crimes within their neighborhoods and so forth. But my specific question is, what are your guys' your all's opinion on why there's such a dysfunction amongst black people, in particular young men committing crimes against one another and so forth?
I don't know. And it's not the most. That's just a few black men that doing this. But I don't know what the answer is, and especially in Michigan.
Do you guys remember it being that way when you were growing up?
No.
And you know, some of those guys, I tell you, it was a matter of survival because the ghettos that they lived in, they had either join them or leave them or die. So I'm thinking it's cultural. The people you are exposed to it, and they're an influence on you in your formative years. I really think so. But what's the remedy? What's the remedy? I guess some of the well, I'll just pick like the sportsmen. They're starting clubs where they're teaching boys to become men. And some of the young kids, those kids that they're out tutoring, it's a mighty change in their lives by being exposed to really God-fearing, well, I'd say God-fearing, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But decent people.
Like upstanding citizens.
Upstanding, decent, law-abiding people.
I have to admit that my grandsons have changed. Except that youngest one, I don't know about him yet.
Changed for the better?
The better. The oldest one, he was married for a minute, and he's engaged now. And he said he feels like he could love this woman forever. They're gonna get married. And then the next one, he married, and that was his second wife, and they're divorced. Well, they're not. Yeah, they're not divorced.
But they're not together.
They're not together. But
you're kidding, Malcolm?
Yeah, he put her out.
Oh my goodness.
But he's a good father. I have to give him that. He is an excellent father. And the youngest one with the 3 kids, I don't know. He was into drugs, and he got shot. and he has a 10-year-old daughter that he's never seen. I don't know about him, but
So let me ask you this, because you guys have been in Detroit for forever, right? Like for a very long time.
Since 1931.
So you guys, you all have seen Detroit go into this industrial period, and you've seen it where it has declined out of its industrial period, where all the factories here and it was booming, and now they're not. When did it like start to get bad in Detroit in terms of like not having any more jobs again? With all the like the company, the car companies leaving, and
what car companies left?
in Detroit, weren't there a lot of car companies here that were manufacturing cars that are no longer manufacturing?
Motors, Chrysler, and Ford.
Mm-hmm.
They're still here.
All of them are still here.
Ford, well,
Because it was my understanding that many of the factory jobs left.
the jobs, but
I
not
don't
the
know
factories.
that doesn't go for Michigan. That doesn't go for us.
What do you mean that doesn't go for us?
You said something that a lot of the factories that was closed up.
Yeah.
They are closing.
They,
Fort Wayne Assembly, the yard is almost empty. I mean, it should be full of workers'
Wayne-
cars. What about the one down there on Wyoming?
oh, that's been
That-
gone for
Oh, that
years.
was DeSoto.
Yeah, they're gradually changing, closing them up.
When the Chrysler, Chevrolet on Wyandotte,
No, that was DeSoto.
DeSoto.
But they made Plymouth, Dodge, and DeSoto. But they still make Plymouth and Dodge. But DeSoto, that factory's been going for
Yeah, man, I
years.
just
So-
the last one, the one
so-
that got
As soon as the war was over, right after the war was over, that factory was gone.
Okay, but we didn't tell him about changing the subject.
Okay, that's fine.
We didn't tell him about how we had gardens and we had sold chickens and eggs
and
and
rabbits.
Mama, yeah, and she raised rabbits.
They was doing the war because meat was ration. And you couldn't get wheat, had ration because when meat was ration.
And I still have mine.
You do.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got one too. I don't know if it's mine or not, but I have one.
I got
You
stamps.
got one.
I got some stamps too.
A ration cards.
Yeah. Mama, she had headaches because they had coffee was ration, sugar, meat. What else?
Did you have to buy the card?
Gas.
Did you have to buy the
No,
ration card?
no.
They just give it to you and
Yeah.
then you can go get meat?
But each person had a certain amount on their ration card.
Depending on how many was in the family.
Wow. So I want to hear about this garden and how did your mom just come up with the idea? Hey, to self-sustain. This is what we need to do.
We had huge gardens. We had 4 or 5 gardens.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
And,
Wow.
It was great, everything.
In
Good
the
food.
summertime, you got up early before the heat of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you could work out there in those gardens. And after the heat of the day in the evening, you went out and you worked some more
Mm-hmm.
until you got all the weeds out of the garden.
Mhm.
She grew everything. She grew carrots, even potatoes. One year she grew some peanuts. Yeah,
corn.
tomatoes, everything that you need except the meat. She grew that too.
And then she canned it, and then that was before freezers. And
Wait. You said before freezers?
Yeah, we didn't have no freezer. Wasn't no
I didn't even think about that.
Well, no such thing as deep freeze.
You
We had
cold
an ice
pack.
man to bring the ice, and we put it on top of
You know, I've always wondered about that. So he'll come and bring that big block of ice to you and put it into the ice box?
ice box.
That's what they call ice box?
There was a little
Yeah.
chamber on the back. He slid it in that chamber.
Now, how long did the ice stay in there before it melted?
Well, it melted. You had a tray up under the.
Was it the same day? Like 2 weeks?
To catch the water.
If you got about 25 or 50 pounds of ice,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to hurry up and thaw.
All right.
You that tray underneath the bottom of the fridge, of icebox.
Icebox.
That's where the water would drip. And every few hours during the day, you have to empty that. And that might be one of the last things you do at night, so it won't run over.
Right.
That's right.
About how long did that ice last though? The 25-pound block.
I can't remember
I
that.
don't know about all that now.
And you know, and another thing Daddy did, he was he decorated, he painted, he hung paper, wallpaper, and I used to have to paste the paper. And I remember I begged him, Daddy, let me try it. Well, and he told me, I kept on, and you should have seen it. It was falling down. But he did everything. He did fences and everything. I was other than working at Ford. But it was 8 of us. Well, there was 10 if you count Mom and Daddy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's very interesting. Well, I am definitely very honored to have been able to talk with you all, to interview you, and to really learn and listen to what you have to say. For me, it's like very touching to me to be here and to listen to you, because I really feel like I'm at a point in my life, a time in my life where connecting to my past and my ancestors is like one of the most important thing that there is for me. I really have this feeling that we as a people are starting to lose our connection from our past every 4 generations. So, you know, and I wouldn't, maybe not every 4 generations, probably every 3 generations, you know, because before I started to really think about these things and dwell on these things, I had no idea really who my great-grandmother was, my great-grandfather was. And I haven't, really been able to learn too much about who my ancestors were beyond them, because there's really very little record of them. I know my dad's dad, and his father. And beyond that, it's like you can't find anything.
Well,
so
you know what? When people started having to file for Social Security, they had to have a Social Security number. They had to get a birth certificate. Everybody that you went, they always said the courthouse burnt down. Okay, well here's my daddy and my uncles. This is what they sent them. My daddy, let's see, and mother's maiden name, Mary Shaw. That was her maiden name. His brother, Mary Smith. His father, Leonard Davis, dead. And here it says Homer Davis.
Isn't that all?
And then she had them all by the same man. Let's throw something together. That's all.
Hold on. Say what do you mean? Maybe I'm not catching something. You said
okay. This is what they sent them. They make up this stuff because they didn't keep any records.
Well, remember when we had to get something from the birth certificate from Mama? Are you okay?
I just had a chill.
Remember when you turned the L?
What the
They
hell?
decided-
Yeah, I got the L.
That's okay. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, what they decided